G'day friends, welcome to another video in the stamp series. We're still with Unbothered and today we're going to use this stamp right here. This is the only one in the set that doesn't have the top of the hairline. Actually today, that's going to come in handy because we're going to learn how to draw this. Now, this was just an example I did. We're not going to go into super detail because this could be quite a long and boring tutorial, but I did just want to show you how to put the hat on and just how to put some simple hair coming out of that and some of the things that you can do to change up the hat a bit. I know that some people have been feeling pretty encouraged with the just using a circle stencil and maybe using it to do a fro, and also looking at the bob that we created with the body with this one here. You can see that hair really isn't so difficult if you break it up into some shapes. So today that's just what I want to show you, how to put a hat on and some hair. Today I'm going to ink up my stamp with the VersaFine toffee colored ink just so we can have a light color to work with, and I'm going in with my Mitsubishi red pencil. This is just a Mitsubishi colored pencil. I don't know why, I don't really own a lot of these, but the lead in this is just so buttery and soft. I got this in Japan, so I'm sure you could find one, but if you're curious to know, this is a Mitsubishi, just a red pencil. I like to sketch in red. Alright, I've zoomed you in pretty close so we can take a really good detailed look at this. This is specifically the hat we're going to draw today. I know that in the circle tutorial we looked at drawing a hat, just a stroke across that line where the circle connected with the outside hair color, and it is a really simple way to do that. It's more of a suggestion of a hat than it is any kind of, realistic looking hat. I still really like this, and to be honest, I'm the kind of person that will cut every corner and do something like that if I just want to save some time or if I can't be bothered trying to figure out the specifics or details. But this is going to be a relatively more accurate looking hat, so it's a bit more of an illustration tutorial today than anything, but I just wanted to show you that these things are still very simple when you break them down. So I'm going to leave this right here so I can reference it. What we're going to do is we're going to imagine that this hair is going to come up somewhere around here, because that's where her hair would kind of fall, and we don't really want to start the hat down here, otherwise it's going to cross off her eyes. So we want to start the hat just about I'd say in line with her eyebrow. We're going to come over here, and where that line would kind of feather out to be her hair, we just want to cut this more at a circular angle. A really curved line just crossing that V where her hair kind of parts and separates there. A lot of the points in this illustration, the hat will look not right. So I just want you to keep encouraged and just to power through it. If in the end you feel like you don't like it, you can always stamp it and start again. It really isn't that bad. So we've just got our rounded line that's just going to be where the hat sits on her head. Now, this is kind of like, the next part is like drawing, like the rings of Saturn. Is Saturn the one with rings? I don't know, I hate space. Let's not talk about that. But you know what I'm talking about? Like the rings that would go around a planet. This is going to be the brim of the hat. So if you want, you can take this really wide. You can take this really far out and it could be a really big, say something sun hat. But today we're going to keep it this cute little like modern hipster bohemian, like just a little hipster hat today. So we're going to take this ring around. You want to just curve it out. So it would like there'd be an oval over here and an oval over here. And then we want to connect the top. So just thinking of curving it around. And then you want to follow the same kind of a line that you did here, and that will just reference that the hat is sitting on an angle. And then you want to bring it back in just around here. So we've kind of just made an oval around the head, but you do want to make sure that it cuts in closer to this line here. So you don't want the same amount of negative space here in here. You do want this to be a bit thinner than how much is showing out here. These are just our guidelines, and you can see I put in a ton of guidelines, and in the end I end up inking over the line that I like the best. It can be a bit difficult to see, but I will go in with a different color, or I'll just darken up the lines that I want to reference when I come to pull it out. Now the top part of the hat is essentially the same type of a line we've got going on here, and you can take this all the way out if you want it to be a, if she's got relatively large head. Or you could even take it up here and make a top hat or one of those Thanksgiving hats. I don't really know what they're called, but you know what I'm talking about. We want to imagine that this head is coming up, and that head, where our hair would kind of sit, that's where the top of the hat's going to come in. And you just want to bring it in on a slightly curved angle. Again, on the other side, you just want to imagine where her hair is coming up. So like we did in that tutorial where we ended up circling off the top part of the head, you can use that as a guide for where this hat might fall, because you want the hat to sit on her head. And that's pretty much it for the hat, to be honest. We're going to look at the hair as well, and then I'll go back in and ink it up. So the hair wants to come out of this point right here, and it also wants to come out of this point right here. It doesn't really matter. You could just do like the bob that we looked at before, the triangle shape over here, the triangle shape over here, and pull it in. I like this little wavy bob that she's got going on here. So to get that effect, I just simply want to take the idea of the bob that we did the first time. So you've got the triangle coming out that side, and you've got the triangle coming out this side. But what I want to do is curve it in and then curve it out. Same idea over here, except we want to curve out first, back in, and then out. And this is just going to make her hair look like it's a little curled at the bottom. Now for the underneath portion here, I will just round it out with some strokes. I don't tend to put too much detail at the bottom because I don't really think it needs it. And then I just want to go over this line here because I will keep these tendrils in the picture. So that's basically it. If you really are interested in this part down here, I would just cut it off from shoulder to this part of the neck, draw a wavy line, and simply connect it. But we're not really going to focus on down here because you could stamp this off the edge of your page coming on, or you could put this in the circle that we did before. But you know, you could put any kind of clothes on there. You could clothe her in washi tape if you wanted. I'm going in with the Zebra Sign pen. This is a disposable brush pen. I love this pen for inking because it's a really hard, really small brush tip. I've used other brush pens in the past, but I feel like they end up losing their really fine brush tip. And because this is really hard, it always bounces back and it never really goes. So it's not like a felt or anything that will kind of, you know, deteriorate over time. And I can be quite heavy-handed, so that is important for me. Right, now we want to just take this line and we're going to darken this one up. This one's going to sit on her hair, so this is probably where we'll come back and add some shading. Now there is a line going in her hair here, but remember we've just put this hair in, so this is where we want to start now, because that hat would disappear behind the hair. So we're just going to bring this around. I haven't drawn a lot today, so my lines might be a little bit wonky because my hand's not warmed up. Now we're going to draw the top part of the hat, and we're just going to ink that part in. You can keep it quite flat, or you can keep it rounded. At the end of the day, you can come in and fill this in with detail if you feel like you've kind of messed something up. Like for me, I want that a bit more rounded. So what I might do is come back and fill it in with stripes that help me kind of put that rounded line back in where I feel like it's lost. She looks like a licorice allsword now. Do you know what licorice allswords are? I think they might be only Australian. It's like those licorice with the little colours in the middle. My old gym used to have a logo that looked like a licorice allsword, which I thought was hilarious. Alright, so now we've inked in our hat. You don't have to put those lines in there. Like I said, I wanted to round the top off, so I did just put those lines in to make it look a little bit more rounded. There are a million different ways you can fix things, or you could just start again if it really, really bothers you. Now, I want to start with this hair again. Like with the fro, I do like to put in the little baby hairs just to frame the face. And especially working with a brush pen, I think it's so much more effective because it just depending on the pressure that you use, you can get so many variations in line width, especially when you're drawing curls. That's just something that I really like. I'm going to add in some of these lines here as well. Completely optional. You could just color this hair in and call it a day. Now for the edge, we wanted to connect this here, remember? So I want to come down, but I don't want to go all the way out where I drew before because that's kind of where I want to leave some loose flyaway hairs just to keep it looking a bit more free and easy. And I'm not really going to connect all of the bottom hair to each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to worry about making this all look the same. I'm just kind of referencing it and then pulling it in. I'm going to quickly go over the details of the stamp with my pen and then we'll come back and color it in. Now, I didn't show this on camera, but if you really do want to copy this 100% legit, you can just put these little two crosses coming down from the shoulder and then two little straps coming from here. and she's got a little strappy under top on, and that would be a direct copy. Now you can see that there's a real difference in doing it with pencil, two-tone Mitsubishi pencil that I have here. You can see that there's a really soft look going on here. I've stamped this in smoky gray, and I've done all my details with mechanical pencil, very fine, very delicate. When you go in with a brush pen, obviously you're going to get more, you're going to get darker lines. There's going to be a stronger contrast, which is fine as well, and I think it really lends itself to Copic coloring. So I'm going to pull out some of my Copic markers today and just give her a bit of a color. I got asked recently, how do you get the Copic markers to blend really smooth? And my tip for that is just to make sure that the page is saturated, that you're working your wet color into other wet areas, and that will keep a really nice soft blend. Now some of my Copic markers are a little bit dry or a little bit empty, and so I can't really get the page super saturated, so sometimes I will have streaking as well. This Copic marker is not running out, but it's also not very juicy, so sometimes I do have to work a little bit slower just to make sure I can get that nice smooth blend. Now if you want to know where to put some shading on the hat, I would just put a little bit of shading in a bit of a semicircle area around here, or a little bit of a half oval around here. I put a bit of shading towards the top of the hairline and the brim, and then I do a smaller little half an oval over this side as well. So we're kind of just making a smaller ring around the hairline and where the hairline kind of comes out of the hat. For the top of the hat, I would just put a bit of shading on the outside, on the corner of each, and then if I was using a pencil, I would lightly feather that in and blend it in, but because I only have Copics to color this one in, I'm just going to darken up the outside. So we'd leave it lighter in the middle, and then around here would be a bit lighter. Remember, the same techniques apply, so if you want to put in that cheekbone shading again, just swoop it down from the hairline towards the lips, and you'll get a nice little cheekbone popping out there. So whether you're doing it in Copic marker or crayon or watercolor or pastel or chalk, whatever you're doing it in, the same techniques kind of apply. So don't be afraid to try that with your different mediums. So now she's looking a little bit electric, which is fun. So the colors I used today were light walnut for the skin. I've used Prussian blue for some of the darker hair shadows. I've used ultramarine for around the hat and up here in those shadows. I've used amethyst to color in the hat, and I've used amethyst to also go in on the shadows on the face a little bit. And then I've used Coral Sea to pick up a bit of brightness in the picture and go in with that light teal. So there you have it. Now I'm just going to go in really quickly with another one of these stamps and just show you again how simple it is to do really quickly. So once you get the hang of it, I'll show you, like, literally it doesn't take you long at all. Let's give her a say something hat because she's really feeling it today. So we're going to take this all the way out. She's going to have that really nice big sun hat on because who knows where she's going today, but she needs it. I'm not going to give her a flat hat. I'm actually just going to follow the hairline that she's already got and give her that rounded sun hat kind of a vibe. And that's literally as quickly as I would put on that hat, and we'd call it a day. That's a little bit too rounded for me. Let's put it like that. So just try experimenting with the different shaped hats you want to play with. Try experimenting with scale and proportion. Try experimenting with ornamentation and you know, like maybe pick some reference images from the internet, from Google Images, and just see if you can't recreate them using exactly the same principle that we used today. It's really not that hard once you get the hang of it. I'm going to put the shadow areas in here just so you see what I'm talking about when I would come to shade this, because I'm not going to finish this piece, but I just wanted to show you really quickly that once you get the hang of it, it's really simple, and I think you'll enjoy just putting hats on ladies, especially if you've got the Decora set. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like putting a few leaves on top of her hat, putting a unicorn horn on there, putting some cat ears on there, whatever you want. I love little hats. I think they're so much fun, and I think they bring so much character to your images. You don't see many people wearing these big old statement hats anymore, which is a bit of a shame. So since I don't see it out in my daily life, I like to create it for my journals, and it can bring me some happiness in there. I don't know, I think I think you'll enjoy this. I think you'll have fun with it. If not, then it was just another little illustration tutorial for you, just for nothing, just for fun. But hopefully you want to put some hats on things, because I'd love to see a big old Easter parade hat festival pop up in my Instagram. I think that would be really, really fun. I love hats. I love hats. Or fascinators. Fascinators would be kind of a little bit different to that. But you can see anyway, that's how quickly you can just start your image. You can get an idea for something. Another interesting thing too, if you do want to go and photocopy these, there's nothing wrong with upscaling these, upsizing these, getting out your light box and using these as a template to start your own illustrations. If you don't love having the stamps directly on your page, or if you are using an insert that maybe the ink bleeds right through and you just want it to be softer, you can just, especially with the Tomoe River insert, you can just pop that under there and do your tracing through there. So you can see that you, through a Tomoe River, the ink will totally bleed through this paper. I mean, that's to be expected, it's so thin, but if you wanted to, you could just start tracing through that. I have done the most awful job at copying this, but I just wanted you to see that you can totally just copy through it. It doesn't have to be stamped directly into your book. If you want to upscale things, if you're happy with something that you've done and you maybe want to make it bigger and put it in a frame, obviously these stamps aren't really going to fill out an 8x10 page unless you stamp them 50 times. So if you want to do upsize that, on the Facebook group you can see Olga's done that. She's put it through the photocopier and enlarged it and used it that way to make a framed piece, and it just turned out stunning. So I encourage you to play with that as well if that's something that's going to maybe spark some new creativity in you. Anyway, I'm going to show you the close-ups. I've only got these few, so until next time, thanks for watching. Bye!